Happy to show this to you today. So it's about a little over a year and a half ago, we introduced the Gluu AI assistant, the first release, and this one can help you create a process, and it can also help you populate roles and add categories. And we put together some what we think are some smart prompts to build in our knowledge to help you, so you don't have to write any prompts. But what we'll show you today is really the second generation, where we have added some more advanced features and where you can do more, including administration. So I really look forward to showing you this. But Anna, should I just get started, or?
Yes, please just get started.
Okay. So here we are on a demo account. This company, Acme Industries, has a lot of different processes, and now we want to do the example of fixed asset management. So here it is. So we'll go to the process, and I'll show you a little bit how it works. So you can imagine here we have a process, and we have certain work instructions, some of which are relatively poor, like it often is in real life. You just add a few notes, and then later on you wanna make it look nice and follow the standards and all that. And this type of work is usually quite tedious. So this is where the AI can help us. So let me show you a little bit how it works. So first of all, we go to one specific work instruction here. And first I want to show you how you add a completely new work instruction. So in this case, we have the process, it's fixed asset management, and at some point our asset will no longer be needed. So we need to remove the asset from use. It could be some kind of machinery. So what we do here, instead of us trying to figure it out, we get some inspiration. So we click the AI and we get an idea here. So optimize storage and costs by removing unused assets. That sounds pretty good. So then we move to the next, because we can also create the full work instruction for this. So let's suggest the instruction test. And as you note, we don't have to write any prompts because we have built the prompts for you. Of course, with AI, everything is not always perfect, but we are working to give more and more predictable results. But what we have now here is an example of the work instruction we could start using. So it really describes everything, and I'm just gonna browse through it to see if it kind of looks okay. I think it does, so I will add it. So now it's in my page, and I'm gonna close this a little bit. So as you can see here now, I'm putting in some information for the reader. Remember to read this carefully. It's a guide and so forth. We're even putting in some context so that you know why was this created, because we will try to make it specific to your industry, to your company size, and also to the process, of course. So in this case, there may be certain tools. I don't have those tools right now, but what we will very soon be able to do is to enrich it with the components you have in your Gluu account, so that the actual tools that are appropriate for this will be shown here, and hereby mapping up your work instruction and your assets, your systems. There's also a little safety element here. This is for protection and so forth. And here's then our guide. So it kind of looks okay. We even have a little question in the bottom. You have questions, well, then you can ask comments here as a user. So all of this looks okay, I think. It's a good starting point, and maybe I wanted now to add my own and change it, and I can do that freely. But let's move on to the next step, which would be, yes, I would actually like to have some tasks. So when I'm running cases in Gluu, I wanna see, I wanna have some tasks from this, how I can measure that this is actually getting done, so people get tasks to do. So in this case, let's try to suggest some tasks. So what it will do now, it will analyze the instruction text, and it will suggest some tasks. So in this case, let's say maybe we do really need to do a final inspection. That's pretty important. Maybe we want to update the status. So let's add those two. So now it's added 2 tasks. I hope you see how we are trying to break down the barrier of getting all your thinking, all your good knowledge into Gluu, and then also for use by your colleagues, but also by AI agents, AI in general, and so forth. So this was the case of creating an entirely new work instruction. But let's also have a look at how you can sort of rewrite an existing work instruction. So what I have is I have a situation here where we have another work instruction in this process. And here you can see we actually have a little bit this and that. We have some content, a video, and so forth. So maybe I took some notes. Maybe I want to reuse this. So let's see if the AI can sort of blend it into a standard. So let's try to rewrite it. We are using an OpenAI model that is a little bit more advanced. So this is why it does take sometimes a little longer. So here are some suggestions. And as you can see, it's actually including the elements that I was writing in my text. So it's sort of blending them in, but it's completing the sentences, making it more like an end user would read it, but without having to sit and write all this stuff. So I think that sounds about right. So let's just say okay. And as you can see here, there still are a few quirks here and there. We're continuously improving this, and AI is also a little bit unpredictable, of course, at times. So now I've actually rewritten my work instruction, and that is that of course makes it a lot easier. So a lot of your staff, your colleagues, everybody can put in stuff in a very rough format, and then your AI can bring it up to standard. So I think that's a little bit the first part. Unless you have any questions or anything. Not sure where he is. Or somebody else with some questions.
We just had this question that whether this is a example of a actual process. Just the context of it, maybe I don't know if it has been clarified already, but this is a real process with either a existing or a missing work instruction that then could be added or improved.
I'm wondering if maybe I should have explained a little bit the context of the process. I'm not sure that was what the viewer was looking for, but here is our process, and here are the different work instructions that we're getting access to. And here is then the plans that we were creating. This is the one. I don't think this was one actually, but this is the one I was just updating. So that's the context. So we have our whole process. We have our roles. We have our work instructions. Everything here right now. We could do the same with a role. I actually found here we have a role. Technician role hasn't been described. So why don't we ask the AI to describe this for us? This purpose sounds about right for a technician in a manufacturing company. What about responsibilities? Maybe we try that. So let's have a look. Yes. Every time, as you know, with AI, I'm sure most of you use it already. If it's done well, it'll give you a good starting point, and you just have to do a little bit of editing, and it will inspire you to finalize it. But it will save you a lot of time, and it's a little bit the same thing here. We have been trying to help you by creating prompts that also contain your own data and our best practice learnings. So here we can just quickly add some of this. So let's just add all this here. So now we've actually added this. We can even go to the point where we ask for which competencies are required by this role. And what we'll do here is it will look at the competencies we already have created in this account. And we will try to find the ones that really make some sense, maybe some of these. So these are the required competencies. Now we can start setting the proper level. Let's say it like this. So as you can see, it's pretty fast to populate, starting from scratch, getting somewhere, and then spending more productive time with your colleagues in really finalizing things. I'm not sure if this was answering the viewer's question. I hope so. Otherwise, please let me know.
I think it did. So at least from my point of view, it did. So
okay.
So do you have the adding tasks? Did you complete that, or will you?
Yes.
Because all right, great. Because I think I've of course seen this a couple of times, but I think both it shows how fast you can actually do it. So there's a big advantage in terms of that, and then of course the fact that you can rewrite the processes or the work instructions to a simple specific template. I think that's a very strong way of ensuring consistency across different departments and across different processes. And we had a comment, I think, to some extent about that, really about these recommendations, because I think AI, of course, you can't, as you have already said several times, you can't just rely on it, or you shouldn't just rely on it. But if you actually, when you actually get these different suggestions, it really makes you think. You don't just say, well, I used to do this. Here are some new recommendations, new suggestions. So it really makes you think more about what you should do, or give you maybe some inspiration to try to do something a bit different.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Anders. It kind of becomes a little bit like a checklist, so you make sure you remember everything. We should ideally get to the point where you are just deleting stuff, slightly modifying stuff, and so forth. And I just created another example, but as you see, here's actually a Gluu form that was then included here in the work instruction. So it really also, we are trying to utilize everything you already have done and enrich that, because we know that whatever somebody human put in first is probably better than what the AI will do from scratch. Yeah.
Great. I can just encourage all of you, if you have more comments, questions, please write them. We'll keep an eye for that. But one thing, you mentioned that, for example, with some of the roles, the AI would pick the ones that was already in your system that you had were already using. But just in general, how does the AI actually, where do they get the data from? Because the answers from the AI will depend on the data that's available. So to what extent is it just searching broadly, or are they using existing processes and those kind of things, best practices and whatever?
Yeah, that's a little bit, I guess, our secret sauce. What we have done is basically trying to combine your data with prompting to OpenAI, and then we try mostly to rely on your data, but we try to point to certain industry standards so we get some solid information. Fortunately, the field of business process management is a field where you can rely to a certain degree on the quality of AI responses, because there's not so much rubbish information out there online. It's not an area where you would have a lot of people trying to manipulate things or so forth. So it's usually fairly good responses that we get.
And as you may see, we have a question about the language, and we actually had, honestly, before releasing some quotes about related to the language that the AI replied to or replied in. What it will do is it can use, today I think it's set to using your account setting in all replies. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. What we have is, I think that's important to underline. I should have mentioned that. but AI will respect the language on your account. So if you have decided your company language is English, it will give you results back in English. Even though you may be translating certain pages to other languages, the core or basic content will be in English. And if, of course, Danish, German, other languages, it will be in that language. But the prompts we have created are in English, but then we ask AI to return certain answers in a specific language. So that gives a lot of flexibility. And AI can now also help you translate certain things. So we can ask you to, maybe I can show you an example of this. Let's say the fixed asset management process that we're just looking at. Maybe we can have a quick look at that. So here it is. And this feature here, I could be going into one of the work instructions here. So we have it now. This was one of the ones we created, I think. So now we can actually ask this one to translate it to Danish. So here's the work instruction now soon in Danish. And what will happen now is, if I'm a user that only speak Danish, then I will see this in Danish, even though the master language is in English. So let's see if it works. So you see here, this is what we just translated. So now it's all in Danish. And I hope you noticed how easy it is, because that's often, there are so many promises, but it's rarely very easy when you get down to it. So yeah, I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, just one question from my side. I think the last time we had this feature release webinar, we talked about versioning and so on. Does this, if you change anything based on the AI or suggest new things, does it has is it the same versioning features, the same recommendation flows and whatever we have in Gluu? Does that apply for the AI, or is that aside from it, or is the content marked as AI generated, or how does it work into the general approval flows?
That's your point. Of course, versioning works exactly the way it normally would. So the AI assistant, the Gluu assistant, it's just a help for the editor, for the writer, but of course they are still in charge. So it's just your own input, but rather than you having to go off to some large language model tool and try to go back and forth with that, we have tried to distill it into these simple one-click prompts.
Great. Yeah, and I think you already started on that, or we could just include this. It may be a bit off topic, but of course, absolutely, we can do a custom demonstration or setup.
Absolutely, we can for sure. We'll be happy to do that.
And then I think when you're already in this and already talked about or you're already in here where you can show how you can customize stuff. So I guess if you just continue maybe on the demonstration about that.
Yeah, because of course, in this day and age, compliance and control is super important. So we build in a tool in the Gluu admin console. So this is only available for people that have administrator status. And in here, you can control how AI is used in your company. So just to give you an idea here, these are a lot of the prompts that we have created. It will just summarize basically what we do, including what we will send to the AI. It also has a link to the enterprise terms for OpenAI. And what they promise us, which we of course then promise you, is that they don't train their models on your data. So assuming they are honest and correct, then that's the case. So you shouldn't worry about sending certain specific things to OpenAI because it's within the enterprise agreement. But what this allows us then to do basically is to say that I can set, do I want to have suggestions for new top level categories, for instance? Here I can write what it is about, and then I can decide which permission groups in Gluu should have that access. So of course, this is something only a few people should be allowed to do. Suggesting process groups, similar. Instruction texts well, maybe it's just whichever permissions have been granted to that specific account that should decide this. So if I have the right to manage a process, maybe I also need to be able to change the instruction text. That would be nice, and so forth. So here are all the options available at this moment, and you can then turn them off, and ensure that only the right user groups are seeing them. So this will show as options here. If you don't have it, nothing will show, and if you have it, these options will show. So hopefully this will give you good tools to control it in an enterprise setting. Other elements which I think we would definitely enhance with a lot more contextual information is that we're trying to understand your business because we can get more valuable results. In this case, this demo account has its manufacturing, it's 100 employees. We don't want to have more than 10 recommended roles per user. This is something we're starting to do more and more because, of course, we want to be able to help you with showing who's overloaded and so forth. But one thing that I want to get to, which I think is very important, is you may have noticed that we had certain specific formatting. So how do I control that formatting? And that's actually what you do here. So this is something that is combined with the prompt. So here you can actually, as part of our prompt, set your own standards. So for instance, this is our suggestion. Why something is done is always important, of course, because if you can't answer this question, maybe you shouldn't have the activity in the first place. But explain how it contributes exactly to the outcome in no more than 100 characters. So if you like to have it in 150 characters, you just edit this, and it'll be in 150 characters. So this gives you some flexibility. The other element I think, which is nice, is you are writing a guide that becomes part of the prompt to AI. Exactly how do you want to have this done? You noticed maybe that we're putting in some directional text, some signposting to users. Just read this instruction carefully, blah, blah, blah. That's something everybody should always read because some of them may be seeing it rarely. But you want to say it every time, but you don't want to have to write it, of course. So it's nice that AI does it and try to make it clear, because maybe I need to print this, so I need to know it's for my specific role. Another element I could say is that if this is just office work, well, we don't need to have this step, so we exclude it. So AI will help you assess if there should be safety precautions in there. And then we're trying to explain what is the ideal step-by-step guide. And this is our attempt at best practice from what we know from our customers. But of course, you would have your own ideas. And what we are also allowing to do very soon is that you can even define your own style sheet in here, so that maybe you don't like our green, maybe you don't like these blue, maybe you have other standards that you want to follow, and you can build it all in here. And what this will do this will be the best practice, the standard that everything will be matched against. So when you change it for all your work instructions everywhere. And I think that's pretty cool, because that makes the whole job of putting in how you work a lot easier. Any questions from anybody, from you, Anders?
No, well, I have a lot of questions, but I know also that you will answer some of them as you will talk us through some of the vision about our AI, because you already started talking about what's next, what's to come, what can we expect from these different things. Yeah, I do have a couple of questions, unless anything else comes up. You already talked about the safety, but one of the things which may not be so specific for the AI, but when you enable AI access or AI functionality for specific users or privileged groups, are there any best practices or recommendations about who should be given rights to use it, who shouldn't, or should you just set it free and allow everyone to use it, or do you have any recommendation on that?
Well, I think we already have a lot of recommendations regarding, for instance, how to use top-level categories should be something that's centralized. So obviously, this should be a very limited admin group that should have access to this, whereas other prompts every process owner, every editor should have the right to be able to rewrite instruction text. So that's and when you get to roles, managing roles, clearly that should be the prerogative of a small group of maybe HR people as well. So I think it just ties well into our existing recommendations of how you work with processes. That we have a lot of documentation on that in Gluu and in our help center also, and we can advise on that as well.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, again, any questions, then please, just don't be shy. If not, I think you have actually, I'll just go to your presentation here, because the next questions that I have is really about why we have decided to go with this prompt. A lot of AI is really right now about the large language model and natural language. So you just write something and then you hope for the best on the answers. So maybe a little bit of context about why we've done, and of course, some of the things you already alluded to about what's next.
Yeah, so of course, these are the very first steps on the vision for AI and Gluu. And as some of you may know, we are now we've just crossed the top of the hype cycle from Gartner Group in terms of AI. Agentic AI is coming soon. I'm happy that we're already providing tangible value to our users. And what will happen is that I think it fits very well into our vision, because what we are trying to do with business process management is to get people involved, to keep people engaged, because otherwise it becomes an ivory tower exercise for a few select people. And then this is really about using AI to make it so easy for everybody to empty their brains into an organized place, which is Gluu, map up systems, connect work processes with work instructions, with roles, getting your full business mapped, but by the real people that are doing the work. And then, of course, when all of this is done, it really becomes a great way. It becomes one of the best ways of saying, now, if we want to use AI at scale, maybe AI agents, what best represent the way we work in our company? Because of course, we as humans have to decide on this before AI is brought in. And then we hope that you will use Gluu as that place, because it becomes the best source. We have customers with 3,000 users, and the only place where they can credibly say their way of working is found is in Gluu. So if you want to use AI at scale, obviously you want to go through asking some questions through our API. How's this done? How's that done? And that really opens up a wealth of opportunities. So if we're trying to fix the problem of getting it all in and getting it all out, then we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, just before continuing, we have this question about limitations. Is that the same limitations that OpenAI includes, or do we have any additional?
Yeah, there are some limitations. Is that what you're asking about?
Yeah.
The question?
Yeah, if there are limitations on the material that can be uploaded to the AI database.
Well, I guess every company has to make a choice. You probably in general, you don't want to put in personally sensitive information into work instructions content. And I would also recommend the same thing here. But again, the same principles apply, the same terms and conditions apply. In the end, the company decides. By assigning ownership of processes, you need to make sure these people know exactly what is a good work instruction, what is not, and what is the policy for sharing. That's for your company to decide. Yeah, I hope that answered it. Otherwise, please let me know. So if we move forward with the vision, we really want to help humans to stay in control of end-to-end processes in this age of AI. We believe that humans will always be in the loop, and this picture should illustrate that sometime in the future, maybe you use the Gluu AI assistant to on one hand connect and access and talk to certain people, but maybe also AI agents that help you with lower level tasks. So if you have your process hierarchy, at the top level, the end-to-end that going from role to role, department to department through a lot of different systems. Well, humans should be orchestrating this, controlling this, but AI may be doing the task that humans today are doing. But the human is the conductor. That's our vision. Because if we take the humans out of the loop, I think maybe somewhere time in the distant future that can be done, but not in a normal company. So it's a productivity tool for people. Just to show you a little bit how that is working, we already saw how it should be super easy to put in content. We saw the example today. But of course, a next step is then that you're building up the answers to AI, because you know the process diagram would tell the AI who should do this. The title would say something about what should be done. The outcome will tell you the result. Why is also important even. And I think in the corner, it also, of course, how it's done. But the better you do this, the more ready you are to make AI help you. If it's an agent or if it is just a customer-facing bot or something like that, it will be able to automate some of your work under the supervision of the process owner. And if we go further down, as some of you may know, we in Gluu have abilities to run processes. So of course, this is also when it gets really interesting. When the colored bars is of course all the different tasks that have to happen in our process flow. And AI, today we are sending out a notification by email, but why don't we let the AI follow up a little bit more intelligently, just like a human with a lot of time would do. Who's this for? Does the person actually know what to do? Maybe I want to embed a little bit of the work instruction in the email to make it super easy. Maybe I want to get it into to Teams. But also analyzing where do we have the value added time? Where do we have waiting time? So what is the value added time of our different processes? These are answers we could ask AI. Another example is the compliance standard. Maybe we put in some compliance needs. Maybe we even create a template like the one you showed before, because certain activities require a high degree of compliance, maybe in finance, in health and safety, GDPR, other areas. So maybe we want to make sure that every time somebody, a human or somebody else submits it, that we get the proper documentation in place. So this could be like monitoring that files are there and so forth. And then finally, when in Gluu you're filling in a form, this is super easy to create, super easy to fill in. You can do it on your phone. Why don't we maybe send that to Dynamics 365 or some kind of system, so you don't have to go there to do it? An AI could help us with that as well. And then finally, I want to share a little bit some of the things that are coming in the near future, I hope. You saw some examples today in our Gluu Assistant, but of course, we also want you to find out which employees have too many responsibilities, who's too busy in this. That may be risk. What about processes? We saw the example of the work instruction, but of course, you also want to get to the process example. What is a bad process because it's poorly designed? It maybe doesn't comply with proper BPMN2 standards or whatever standards you're setting. Maybe there are process owners that are too passive. And then, yeah, I see a question, and that's exactly also here on the list. I think this is a very important point. We jump to the bottom of the list, that once I'm creating my work instruction, I may be using a lot of words about my CRM system, and maybe we want the AI to match it with our real CRM system and replace it with Gluu components, hereby mapping up where our different systems and assets are used in real situations. So this is, I think, a very relevant place for AI to help us, because it's not something a human would be good at or really like to do, to be honest. So that's a big opportunity. But you see some of the examples here. We also in Gluu, we're building in certain, it's almost like a system for a little bit like gamification, but we are trying to celebrate the people that contribute and we want to give them certain status. And of course, AI can help us to do this. So maybe we can get to the point where we are celebrating the people that actually help build the structural knowledge of the company, because maybe that is what humans should be doing in order for AI to help us properly. So I think that's more or less it. So maybe some more questions if there are any.
Please continue with questions if you have.
You wanna?
Sorry. No, just some. No. So
yeah, that's a great point. So instead of using our prompts only, I think what you will see coming in Gluu is we try to avoid this thing about just connecting to, say, OpenAI and you writing your own prompt, because the only thing that will benefit is a bit like you don't have to open an extra tab and copy paste. But what we will be doing, to your point, is we will allow you to build prompts from Gluu parameters within certain boundaries. So because we want to make sure that you don't, that it's easy for you and that you use your data. So you can, I would probably call it a little bit, first it will be more like prompt configuration rather than completely open-ended prompts. But you can imagine things like maybe for a work instruction, maybe I want to shorten it, maybe I want it longer, and so forth. So the answer is yes, with certain caveats, mostly to protect the quality of your content.
Yeah, and I think also just when we looked at this kind of the evolution of Gluu AI so far, it started out really about suggesting processes, process architectures, how did they match, and now has become more operational with suggesting specific tasks. And you already mentioned it might be going into become more proactive, saying here's a bad process. There seems to be a task missing. This user isn't using anything. So being more and more operational and embedded in the day-to-day usage, I think is one of the things that we will be looking for.
Exactly. One thing I want to mention, I haven't mentioned that well, is that the handover to AI agents, we don't do that as Gluu. So obviously our API is very powerful. We would want to start some other tool, some Copilot or whatever tool is appropriate for the situation. So you can imagine the situation where you fill in the fixed asset, you register a few data on the asset, and there's a Dynamics 365 Copilot AI agent that is making sure it's put the right place to create a record in Business Central or in Finance and Operations, and then somebody else completes it. And maybe our AI follows up that somebody does that, but the data ends up someplace else. So you should look at it more like the guiding, the orchestrating layer of things. So it's a little bit at the top. So somebody, that's somebody's asking, if a company works with two. That's a great point. But I think the way you do this is that you always have to decide what is the master language, the model language, so to speak. Well, I guess it's the company language. And then for each specific instruction, yes, you may create it first in German, in English, in other languages. But then for that specific one, you can again reprompt AI to translate it. So I think that's how you would want to do it. So just to summarize, if your common language is English, everything starts off in English because there has to be an English master. But AI will also help you to translate it for that factory in Poland. Maybe they need it in Polish, so that those particular instructions will be translated. But then you still have a one-to-one relationship between the company language and the translated version.
Great.
Yeah.
We are approaching the 45 minutes. But before stopping, I'll just like to still advocate for our process benchmark. It's still in the market. We still need some more data to be filled out to produce a proper benchmark. So if you have time, if you haven't already filled it in, then of course, thank you very much for that. If not, I just encourage you to please try to fill it out. It doesn't take long, and we believe that the value you will get from it will be worth your while.
And just to plug what you're doing, Anders is a former IDC analyst, and he's trying to get sense of what is really process success out there, how is it measured, who is successful. So the more people that contribute, the more valuable the results, and we're sharing the results. We're trying to make it a little bit sort of open source. It's not something that we are monopolizing. It's just a way of engaging the community. So
yeah, and then we will post in the chats on LinkedIn and YouTube. We will post a link to the recording for today. We will also produce some links to some additional content about our AI and our work instructions and so on, and possibly also some shorter video feeds so that you can catch up on the parts that you find most interesting faster. So, and that was the wrong one. It also has a quote for that. So once again, thank you very much for the time. I hope it was worthwhile, and also just everything that Søren has demoed here is live today. So just encourage you to try it out. And of course, if you have problems, challenges, suggestions, feel free to reach out. Yeah, I guess that's it from my side. I don't know if you have any final thank you comments or anything, Søren.